Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how much I think my comic book collection is actually worth. So in this video I'm going to show you a lot of my collection, not all of it, but a lot of it, and hopefully you guys can see as to how I kind of calculated the exact value of my comic book collection. So a lot of my collection, as many of you might not know, I have a lot of runs, specifically some Marvel runs. And one of mine is this ASM Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1 run. Now, I don't have anything earlier than in the 30s, but I do have a pretty solid run after around like 129 all the way up to in the 300s. My comic book collection roughly is around 4,500 comics with maybe around 150 or so slabs. And a lot of how I keep my collection organized is through this CLZ app. If you're not familiar with this basically is an Excel spreadsheet app that allows you to not only keep track of what issues you have, but what issues you don't from a run. So it is very helpful. Also, I think they're now working with Cover Price to give you a rough roundabout price value of your collection. I haven't utilized that yet in changing the grades in CLZ app, but that is a possibility. Also, a large part of my run, and I know probably many of you have complete runs of modern books or even complete runs of vintage books. But here's an example of this Thor, God of Thunder, Jason Aaron run, 25 issue run. When I'm determining the value of this run, I'm really determining the value of it in a complete run. And usually I'm using eBay to determine something like that because that gives me the most accurate, most representative price of what this is worth now. To break up a run like that, especially when you have it completed, I don't think is necessarily the best choice as opposed to what you're seeing now, like a Silver Surfer 4, like key issue that a lot of people would just want alone. Another example of this is my Donny Cates Venom run. I think was it 35 issues, and then my Immortal Hulk run 1 through 50. So when I'm determining the value of these, I'm not saying, hey, this issue 2 is whatever. I'm really kind of determining it as a complete run. And now let's get into the slabs. Slabs are, pound for pound, the easiest thing to price. You have a definitive grade, you have a definitive grading company, and then you have basically a trend, a value of this book over time. Sites like Go Collect are an excellent resource to determine, the long-term value of a book, and especially something from the past and to what it is now, and showing grade breakdowns, how many sales are at this price range. Using this data, you can really kind of make a determination and really extrapolate to the future of what your comic book is going to be worth and what it was worth in the past. Also, a large part of my collection is war books, and a large part of my collection is from my dad. So, like I said, I have around 4,500 comics. I would say half of them are long boxes of my dad's collection, and a lot of them are war books, like these GI Combat and Sergeant Rock, which I'll show. I store a lot of my slabs in these BCW boxes, and it just kind of lets me get into them and see exactly what I have and protect them as best as possible. I keep big runs of things in long boxes, and this is more example of this GI Combat. As far as pricing something like that, I mean, most of those books are not keys, and they're around about $2, $5, maybe even $10 depending on condition. But when you're assimilating, and you're making kind of an amalgamation of what your collection is and what its value is in total, you have a little bit of everything. You've got runs, you've got keys, and really kind of having a breakdown on an Excel spreadsheet is the best way and the tried and true way of doing this. Here's an example of key issues or certain issues that I have broken down, not only by what the first appearance is, but then what other appearances are in this book. And then I kind of have like a rough value over to the side of just like an estimated value, an idea of what this comic is, not only now but long term. One thing you have to realize when determining the value of a collection is just because something's market value is $10 doesn't mean that you're getting $10. So when I tell you guys the value of my collection, I'm going to kind of give you an estimation of what I think it would be upon sale date. When you're using eBay, when you're using a third-party seller and you're not the one directly selling, you basically can take 15% of the value of your collection off the top. Most of these comics that I have bought are worth half, if not less sometimes, of what I paid for them, because a lot of these books I've bought at the wrong time. I've talked about this in other videos. So my collection is not worth near what I paid for it, but I wanted to kind of get an idea of what roundabout it would be. And I have other runs, Batman Volume 1 runs, and Key Collector is a very, very good resource. I know I kind of hated on Key Collector just because of their speculative tendencies or manipulation of the market, but as a resource and just as a quick way to kind of get an idea of what a book is and a roundabout price, it's an excellent resource. Now, these prices, I don't put a lot of stock in them as far as a raw value. I think using these numbers and then some accumulation of eBay numbers and what they're selling in that market, I think you're going to get a better gauge of what the actual value of a book is. And a lot of these Batman Volume 1 books, I mean, these are not dollar books. These are all, worth, $5, $10. A lot of them worth even more than that. It's just depending on the condition. But a lot of these like Detective Comic books, those are all like $2, $3 type books. And again, a lot of the reason why I slab so many of these books, especially the keys, is that if they were to be sold, especially by somebody that wasn't me, they would have a better understanding of what they had. Another resource is this site, Cover Price. This is the one that I've used a lot. I really like their breakdown. I don't know necessarily if they have the most data, but a lot of the sales data, and I don't know where a lot of the sales data is coming from. I'm assuming eBay, but I really like this breakdown. I like the format of Cover Price, but I think using it and then also other sites as a resource is the best way, because then that's going to give you a real actual indication of what the value is. This X-Men run, this is like the new Mutants X-Men run where it changes over at Giant Size X-Men 1 and then starts at 94. I have a pretty decent size run of this. I think I have it all the way up to 300, maybe past that. But then here again, this is at a newer modern run. This Oblivion Song, Robert Kirkman, really great read. Determining a value of this is kind of tricky. I mean, it's the complete run. I think there's like 50 issues or something. I can't remember. But that would be sold as a run. If I'm to try and determine the actual value, I wouldn't even bother selling these as single issues like a comic book shop would. Like, the value of my collection is different than the value of it at a comic book shop. So like, if Glenn from the Comic Book Palace was selling my collection, he may be able to get more for modern type issues. It just depends. Another huge part of my collection is my Fantastic Four run, which I think mine starts at like issue 31 or so. And then after that, I pretty much have everything up until like 300, 400. I have several hundred Volume 1 sequential Fantastic Four books. This is a run that I haven't really delved into as far as the reading. It's just a run that I kind of like. I was like, I'm going to put this run together. This is a kind of a breeding ground for new heroes, first appearances, big books, and so many of the first appearance books are characters that I like, and so many of the Marvel villains are they're awesome, and a lot of them come from Fantastic Four. Here's some more of my Detective Comics run. That's like my earliest Detective Comics issue. It is beat up. Here's some more slabs, and like I said, I love slabs. I think it's fun. I like how they present. I like having the key comic in that encapsulation, but a lot of my key books I don't have slabbed. And I talked about this on another video, is, you know, I kind of have separated my key issues over into one box. This box, I'm not necessarily collecting these runs, and this is something that I would recommend you all do when you're trying to determine the value of your collection, is, you know, put your books that aren't in a run, that are keys or a little bit better than some of your other stuff, into one box, so that you can kind of organize it better and have an idea, okay, this is my good box. That way you can kind of get a price. This is Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. You know, the only really key books in that are, you know, the first Darkseid book when it's like all the Forever People stuff. Nothing crazy in this. Actually, I think Superboy's first Brainiac. I can never remember that. But like I said, this is a lot of my dad's collection. I tried to organize this the best I could, but again, a lot of this is DC keys or DC books, not necessarily keys. You know, in that good to on the high end, very good type grade condition. I don't put a lot of value in those as far as, you know, monetary value. And then this is my Incredible Hulk run. This is the other run that I have a lot of sequential books. So my ASM, Fantastic Four, Batman, Detective Comics, and yeah, my X-Men runs. Those are all my big runs of books. Again, Hulk, not crazy valuable. There are several keys, specifically like the Todd McFarlane stuff. But a lot of my big books you guys see in my videos, roundabout value of my collection is around